If you've ever gone searching for custom dress forms, you've probably encountered the infamous DIY duct tape dress form. We decided to try it out, and this was our final result. And if you would like to see the process, keep on watching. And so it begins. Holding. Almost free. So. Okay. There was a little hole. Yeah, no, there's a little couple holes off. Ugh. Did your butt look like your butt? Maybe.
We got some holes, but we were both emotionally done at doing this.
Yep.
So
I'm gonna repair the holes as I'm stuffing it and stuff, or before.
we're gonna make this look like a dress form next.
Next time.
Next
Bye.
time. Bye.
I'm back. I will say, I feel a little bit lied to. The biggest issue with duct tape dress forms was that you can't pin them. They like dirty your needles over time. They get really gunky and sticky and not really usable over time, and it's only like a 1 or 2 use situation. I thought those were the reasons, were the biggest drawbacks to making this dress form, and I thought it was like a perfectly good option. And I'm not shading anyone who likes this option, but no one mentions how legitimately exhausting it is for both the person standing there and for the person who is wrapping. I'll say, I taped that up pretty well. Because if you think about it, it's very similar in the way you go about making a duct tape dress form and a way you go about making a bespoke form dress form. Instead of having a thing and carving it out and covering that, you start from the outside in, you create the shell, and then you stuff it. I finally acquired some cardboard. I'm just trying to do this alone. I taped it to stand so it stands upright because it does not do that on its own. And I am just going to use the Sharpie and mark out the shape. Layer of the base done, and because the grain of the cardboard is this way, we're going to make sure that the next piece that we get is a little bit different. If anyone's planning on making this at home, I would recommend 3 layers, but since I don't imagine I'll be using this too frequently, I'll just stick to 2. Now we're gonna draw out a hole, and for that, oh, that does not look centered. Let's do that again. Okay, well now we have this. We can check that our PVC pipe will go in perfectly. And we have the perfect surface to attach our mounting piece. Starting with the side that I am most confident I can get lined up, which is gonna be for me, this right side. Okay, so this is the base. It's time for stuffing. I guess while I'm stuffing, I'll just tell you guys a little bit about how I started BespokeForms. There's kind of like two separate storylines that kind of converge into what became BespokeForms. So on one end, I've always been a very crafty little child and super into YouTube, because what crafty child does not take inspiration from YouTube? So I was scrolling as a wee little child, came across this video of someone making a duct tape dress form. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, that's so smart. They can make things, like they can make custom things for themselves using it. And I thought it was just such a cool and cheap little way to do it. I get exposed to people using scanning for different purposes, and I find out that iPhone scanners have improved a lot in quality over the years. Before that, I had seen the potential to use Blender to make plushie toys by using Scene. And one day I was scrolling Instagram, saw another one of these DIY duct tape dress forms, and thought, I can't believe no one's thought of a better way to do this. Because with how much technology's evolved, somebody should have figured out something better. And then I got the light bulb moment and realized, oh wait, I can make that. That led me down for prototyping for 2-ish weeks, I believe. Messing around with a lot of free softwares that I no longer use. And I had never done any sort of scan cleanup before or retopology or anything like that. So I was just learning all of this completely fresh and new. But luckily, there's this beautiful thing called YouTube. Every time I got stuck, I would just search up YouTube for more things. So I put up the listing and I was like, we'll see if it sells. And surprisingly, with practically zero marketing, it did. It sold, and I got so very excited, and I was absolutely enthralled by the fact that with my very bad listing photos, I could get a sale. Just to show kind of that the pipe is actually doing something. It is currently leaning to the right. I would like it to not lean that way. So why this pole helps is that I can essentially shove a bunch of polyfill on the opposite side. And hopefully you can tell that it's now on the right side. Normally I would finish it off, put rubber covers on the ends of them, but honestly, no one is going to ever use this. So not having a super strong motivation of completely finishing it, and I feel like it won't change my final thoughts. Now, after finishing creating this DIY duct tape dress form, would I do it again? No. I own a custom dress form making business, and so personally, obviously, this is just not something that I would look for. However, for anyone who is looking for a cost-effective way to make a pinnable dress form that looks relatively in their shape, I would recommend this. I think the greatest benefit to this method is the fact that you get a shape that is similar to your size. However, I am not necessarily happy with what I was able to achieve for her waist because she is a living, breathing human being. The duct tape and saran wrap to expand sometimes while I'm wrapping, and that seems to be kind of unavoidable. I will say for the shape, I did recognize that afterwards I found that people would do an initial X across the chest so that you get more definition. Obviously, we did not do it that way, so I will not take off any points in those regards. Even with my attempts to define her waist with some of the tape at the end, it's just not quite as defined as her waist actually is, hence why it is getting a 7.5 out of 10. Now, for the skill level, it is pretty straightforward. It is put saran wrap on a person, have them hold it in place, just more like futzing and finagling around with it more than anything else. And for practicality purposes, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 10. And when I mean practicality, I mean how practical is it to actually make? And it is very impractical. In my opinion, it's very tiring for the person who is standing there getting wrapped. It is exhausting for the person who is doing the wrapping. It's just a lot of time spent on your feet without ever having a proper chance to sit or to rest. And for usefulness, I give it a 5 out of 10. You might be surprised by that low score only because it doesn't really last too long. It lasts up until the time when you get too grossed out by how much gunk is on it and stuff. And I cannot imagine it holding up too well. So I hope this was helpful to you if you are looking into creating a DIY duct tape dress form. And I have honestly been pretty inspired to look into other methods of making a dress form. So some of the other ideas I've had were going into historical methods, paper mache, paper tape, weaving, metal dress forms, like just seriously the whole lot. And I think that would be a very fun series to start. So let me know if that interests you guys. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.